Spacebird Media.
Why do so many people find solace in the crackle of a vinyl record? Let's dive in. This isn't just another vinyl podcast, it's a journey into the heart of recovery, through the universal language of music. Each week we share powerful stories of overcoming addiction and life's toughest challenges. Together, we'll uncover how the warmth of vinyl can guide us through moments of vulnerability and strength. So, drop the needle, lean in, and let the music heal. Let's get started.
This is Records and Recovery.
Welcome to Records and Recovery, where we love to talk all things music and especially how it affects our lives. How does it help us heal? How does it help us fall in love? And how does it help us do so many other things? But ultimately, bringing us closer to God is a part of that process. And I love when I get a chance to hang out with some of my friends in the midst of these conversations. And I lost count as to how many years we were doing afternoons together in Grand Rapids, working at JQ99. But I welcome my friend, bully expert, not that he's an expert of bullies, but how to deal with them, and we'll get to that in just a bit. But Jeff Veley, welcome to Records and Recovery.
Hey, good to see you, man. It's, sitting across with microphones in front of us, I have this little twitch in the back of my head that you're going to ask me what the traffic is. I've not looked outside. I have no idea. That's just what happens when you work in radio.
Yes.
You're like, I've got to be prepared for it. I'm glad that's not on the question list.
No, not at all. Well, and this is
Good
the
to see you.
first time where it's an interview kind of conversation, but you and I have conversations and used to have them every day nonstop for 4 hours. So this is like just riding a bike.
And drum memes still go back and forth on the interwebs. So I appreciate those. I hear a lot of great drum solos due to your direct messages. So thank you for enriching my life in that way.
I'm just trying to be a blessing, as always. So for those who are just meeting you for the first time, and of course I never really know what the official title is to call you, but you go into schools and you help basically students understand how to better deal with bullies in the classroom, in the hallway, in the lunchroom, all the stuff. And so start us there. So what exactly is your ministry? And then tell us what that system is for students who are checking it out for the first time.
Yeah, for sure. So just to go back a little bit, so I worked as a youth treatment specialist in the mental health field for many years, and then just had an opportunity to really start trying to figure out how do we empower kids before they need the level of help that I was providing. So I was running residential treatment programs. Kids had gone through a lot of trauma by the time they got to me and met me in one of those programs. And so the thought then became, how do we go further upstream? What does it look like to empower kids, empower parents? And that's where you and I had some fun conversations over the years as your girls were growing up. And what does it look like? How do we build resilient kids? And so what I noticed in the field is that when it came to life skills, when it came to hygiene, like teaching middle school boys how to put on deodorant, we really taught kids how to solve problems themselves. Yeah. We were really proactive in teaching skills. But when it came to this idea of bullying, I don't like that word a whole lot. I don't want to call people bullies because then it's like I'm doing name calling, right? That's what I try to get people to stop doing.
Yeah.
But when you come down to it, what we're really talking about is social aggression and conflict. Social aggression, conflict resolution. And so I guess that's what the title would be, is sort of like conflict resolution specialist. I've gotten really nerdy on how to solve that, not just digging into God's word, which is a part of it, but also what's interesting is, of course, the Bible is mirroring what psychology teaches, science and how our brain works and in all of that. Like it all is saying the same thing. Yeah. And it really teaches us what we can do when we're faced with someone who's treating us like an enemy. And the cool thing is love is just part of a secret of how to deal with hate. And we don't just see that in our faith, but also science and psychology really backs that up.
And you also talk about, I guess it's the 2 points, so the peace sign. Explain that for people who see, because it's obviously in a lot of your branding and it's a part of your message when you go and speak in the schools. So what is the peace sign help us to be reminded of?
Yeah, the whole idea behind the peace sign is just 2 simple steps anyone can remember to find peace. And so step 1 is don't get upset. the mistake that we make the most when someone's being aggressive towards us, whether they're bothering us, whether they're trying to hurt us, maybe they're roasting you, they're saying something about you don't like, they're criticizing you. They're trying to create this power imbalance. And regardless of who you talk to on the issue of bullying, you'll see there's a lot of disagreements, but everybody agrees that there's a perceived power imbalance. Someone wants to have power over you, they want to see you lose, and they want to win. And the second you get upset, you lose, they win. Now you have given in because you've given up your power. And so the first key is really teaching kids how to be resilient, how to cope emotionally in the moment. Of course, your knee-jerk reaction is you want to get upset. You want to fire back and say something. You want to defend yourself. But defense is the weaker position. And so how do we keep our kids from having to play defense and making sure that even if they're not calm and confident, that we can teach them to, fake it till you make it. Yeah. Look like you're calm and confident for a minute. Because believe it or not, if you can fool someone into thinking that it's not upsetting you or offending you for even a few seconds, they get that impression and they're very unlikely to continue that behavior. So yeah, first step of this peace sign is teaching kids, hey, don't get upset, because the second you do, you give up your power. The more upset you get, the more fun they have. More fun they have, the meaner they are. The meaner they are, the more upset you get. Like a cycle, you'll get stuck. The second step, after you learn not to get upset, is to treat them like a friend. And if you look at Romans 12, it is really all about that. It's using love to conquer hate. It's saying don't conform to the patterns, the behaviors of this world. Let God renew your mind. And it teaches us that there's a better way. And that is, heaping a coal of shame upon their heads by simply using love, allowing them to have to look in the mirror and really deal with their own behavior. And so step 2 is don't treat them like an enemy, treat them like a friend. You don't have to be friends with them, but the wisest thing you can do is be friendly to them, because a soft answer turns away wrath.
Good stuff. Talking with Jeff Veley this week on Records and Recovery. Before we get into talking music, you and I are also very big Batman geeks, connoisseurs, nerds, whatever words that we talk about not labeling, and here we are labeling ourselves. I have to show you my big toy. So in the craze of all the popcorn buckets that are out there every time there's a new release, so I have my bat symbol that is also a popcorn bucket. And yes, it does turn on, which is not as magical in a podcast setting, but come over to the house sometime, we can light up the whole wall.
Yeah. Aisley, that is beautiful. I want one of those. So funny enough, because we were doing this, look what I brought.
Excellent.
This is the same Batman mug that I had most days at the radio station when we did our show.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever told you this. This was like a year or two after the show. I was pulling it out of the dishwasher one day, and this was a gift from an intern that worked at our radio station. And I never met this intern. We were like ships passing in the night.
Right.
He worked the mornings, I worked the afternoons. We never met, but I got picked on as Secret Santa. And this was the perfect gift after listening to our show. We talked about Batman, and I think, every day in our show at some point. So I pulled this out of the dishwasher like a couple years after our show, and it says on the bottom, not dishwasher safe.
Oh, way to go.
This thing has been in the dishwasher for like 10 years. So I don't know what I've been ingesting, but maybe it'll make our interview better.
You're still here, so clearly it's not as deadly as they might make it seem on a label.
Clearly.
It's excellent. So, Jeff,
speaking of deadly.
Yes.
Oh, I was going to say, speaking of deadly, you came into the studio one day when we were doing radio, and I'm curious if you remember this because it stuck in my mind. And when I saw Records in Recovery, I was like, I got to bring this up. You walked in. If you don't know Ace well and you're listening to this, he's secretly 14. Like, he sees something online, he gets very excited, and he will jump, he will bounce. And you're like, okay, what new toy did he find today? What deal is Amazon running? What is he just put in his cart? And you come in and you're like, I know what I'm going to do after I die. And I'm like, this is morbid. Why are we talking about this? And you had found that you could take, what I'm going to say? You could take your ashes and make a vinyl record.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah. Which, of course, I shared
and you were explaining to me.
Yeah, I shared this with my daughters, and they're like, I'm not holding a record with your ashes in it. And I was like, all right, well, then I can dream,
your energy and excitement was not matched by everyone at home.
No.
But yes, you described how you're going to be immortalized on this. And I think anybody who does that, you have to have like a secret B-side
Right.
you tell no one about
That's right.
and just do something off the wall.
Yeah, that's. But maybe I should like have it pre-done and then arrange it so then when albums just start shuffling out, then anybody could have a little piece of me right on their turntable. So I love that you remembered that because so many conversations after 4+ years on the air together. Jeff Veley is our guest on this week's Records in Recovery. So I guess for me, I know for you, starting music-wise, your dad was a musician. So start us there as to his impact, and not only to how you listen to music, but then you becoming a musician yourself.
Yeah, growing up, I tell people I spent the weekends either kind of napping backstage and helping plug in cables, or I was in a recording studio.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad was a professional musician, was on tour back in the 70s. And then sometime in the 80s, he said, I probably should settle down, get married, do the family thing. And that's what he did. Had me and my younger brother, and then would play regionally on the weekends. So was still playing. Almost, I think they took like 3 to 5 weekends off a year. So every Friday and Saturday night he was playing somewhere, but somewhere where he could come home, sleep in his own bed, and be there for his kids the next morning. And so his guitar is actually hanging on the wall here in the studio, just kind of off camera. And so it's a reminder for me of how my dad loved others, his work ethic, his love for music, and it helps me remind myself to make every day fun.
Yeah. And I know that, he's very much a part of when you're on stage, that presence. Did you guys ever get to play together? Was that, or?
Yeah, so it's an interesting story. We only ever played one show together, full show. Now, we played together at church. We would jam at home and stuff. But when you're not doing the concert circuit, and you're in a rock band or something like that, you're sort of limited to benefit concerts,
Sure,
playing at church and playing at local bars. And so he did all of those things. And so what he mainly did, what was consistent, was really playing in bars on Friday and Saturday nights. And the challenge there is Sunday morning, if you wanted to play Sunday morning, you would sleep for about 4 hours after tearing down if you were lucky, and then you were back in front of a congregation on Sunday. So it's really hard for him to do both. And so he tried his best, but as he got a little older, that was challenging. So one of our favorite events, and I think his band did this like 5 years consecutively, it was called Tony's Toy Run for Kids. I imagine it's still going. It was in Lowell, Michigan, and the whole idea, it was a sort of a biker rally, but with a purpose. They would collect toys and strap them on the back of their motorcycles, ride to Lowell Fairgrounds, and these were Christmas presents for terminally ill kids. So the front motorcycle was Santa riding in as sort of the pace cycle that everyone would follow. And once they got to their fairgrounds, barbecue, biker games. I remember they used to do a slow ride. How slow could you go without tipping over? I thought that was fascinating as a kid. And then my dad's band was really the main entertainment on the main stage. So I was 16 when my dad passed away. He had an accident actually on the fairgrounds. He fell off of that stage while tearing down, shattered his ankle. And I was 16 at the time. And I remember my dad coming to me and he's like, "Hey, you're getting old enough now, like to play a show with us. You can't like come into the bar. You're underage, and at church we kind of play different music there. But he's like, I want to play like a show with you." And so they set me up a whole like auxiliary percussion set on the side where I had bongos and I had a djembe and other kind of percussion stuff. And it was the first show we ever played together, first full concert, and it was the last show he ever played. I was the last person to be on stage with him after his entire incredible music career. And so I really hold that dear. I feel like that was a gift to me from God to have that time.
Yeah. Do you remember what songs were in the set list?
So it was a country and classic rock band. So everything from Toby Keith to Bob Seger to the Eagles. I mean, it really ran the gamut. Some Keith Urban in there. It was a lot of fun.
Well, and the reason I ask is because
the songs don't necessarily come to mind.
Yeah, well, and that's why I asked, because I was wondering if, like, when you hear those songs now, I would think it would immediately take you to that night and relive that moment with him.
Yeah, so Hotel California is one when it comes on, like it feels like time is frozen for me. Sweet Home Alabama, same thing. There's a few of those that for sure transport me back.
Yeah, so good. Jeff Veley is our guest this week on Records and Recovery. So, in addition to your dad's influence, what was that earliest memory of music for you? Or maybe the first album that you remember buying with your own allowance?
Man, first album buying, I don't know. I had a lot of cassette tapes, CDs given to me. I'm a huge fan of Switchfoot, and so I remember the Beautiful Letdown being the first record that I was like, okay, this like I feel like this is speaking about elements of faith, but like it really rocks. Like this is cool. This is different than kind of the church music. I grew up in like an organ kind of playing church. So when you grow up like with a rock band and then you're like playing that kind of music, like you feel like something's not connecting for you. You're like, how do I fit into this, right? But hearing Switchfoot sort of bridge that gap. You know, I got my first drum set from my dad's drummer. Was in her attic when I was 4, and just started playing along to anything I could get my hands on, whether that was Christian music, worship music, eventually or Christian rock or contemporary pop kind of stuff, and then country and classic rock, which is what my dad played. So there were some really early, I think, influences. I don't know if have you ever heard of Mary Rice Hopkins?
The name sounds familiar, but I don't necessarily know that I could name a song.
Did like a lot of music for kids, lots of motions. She had songbooks out and VHS tapes and stuff. This is really probably back 80s and 90s. But it's just some really unique instrumentation in that, and that really grabbed me.
Yeah.
And I had a chance to actually meet her. And I remember seeing different concerts that she put on, and very much, invite all the churches in the community kind of thing. But would bring me backstage and just allowed me to ask a lot of questions, was so kind. And so that was probably my first Christian artist that I interfaced with, and really took time to, I felt like, invest in me and encourage me.
Yeah. So obviously, to go back to, losing your dad, especially at such a young age, do you remember some of the songs that you kind of gravitated to that were just a healer during that time, Jeff?
Yeah, the song "Give Me Jesus" is one we played at his funeral, and I think that really helped encapsulate what I needed in that moment.
Yeah,
was just God to feel close. The story of losing my dad, so he shattered his ankle at this rock concert, falls off the stage, goes into the hospital. They have to rebuild his leg and ankle and everything because it was just obliterated by the fall. And 2 days before he was supposed to come home, he passed away. Long story short, massive blood clot in his lungs. 3 doctors were supposed to give him blood thinners. They all missed it. And it's still one of the, like, his medical case is still one that's studied of what not to do. Wow. And so really sudden. And when you're 16, you need your dad. For me, my dad wasn't just a father, but he was really a mentor to me. He was my coach when it came to the entertainment and performing stuff. And so the relationship really ran deep. And so I remember hearing that song, "Give Me Jesus," and going, like, I don't know who else to go to other than God in this moment. And really felt the Lord was near during that time.
Yeah, very true. Records and Recovery, hanging out with Jeff Veley this week. Jeff, I'm curious, in what you do in the schools with students, how much does music play into what you're into when you're going into the gyms and the cafeterias?
So I'm currently on my Therapies tour, going into my second year where that's our theme. And the whole idea is there's things in life that can be like therapy that help you with your mental health. And what we're really always looking for is finding peace, not just in our relationships with others, which is, of course, what I talk to kids about, but also within, finding that inner peace and being okay with who you are and how you are, even if life doesn't look exactly like you want it to. And one thing I've been doing is really kicking off every show with a song. And so I come out and they're expecting me to speak, and I say, hey, how many of you guys believe music can be therapy? Of course, almost every kid raises their hand, elementary through high school. And then I say, okay, take that hand, turn it into a fist, and the music starts bumping, they start rocking the fists, and we go for it. And what's interesting as I launch into that is 2 years ago, I was on stage in Colorado Springs, and I had a vocal injury in the middle of singing a song. It was, not planned, a real thing.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the singer has an accident on stage, and I had to finish the rest of the show speaking, giving my keynote with just barely a whisper. And so what I talk to kids about, having resilience with enemies and navigating difficult relationships, I'm also saying, hey, as I'm asking you to be resilient, I took out a huge risk when I came out here today because I hit play on a track to sing it for you. And this was today's vocal therapy exercise. I did it in front of a live audience.
Wow.
And so I've been doing that for a year. Most days I'm able to make it through the whole song. If not, we have a little fade button we hit and we fade out at a perfect time. But it's my way of showing kids that you've got to take a risk sometimes, and it's often worth it.
Yeah. So in that, is it a different song every time? It's always the same song?
I tend to use the same song. It's been Waiting for the End by Linkin Park for the last year, which is kind of fun. Yeah.
And that's cool. Because obviously, too, with, I feel like a lot of times with having teens at home, our music connection, if I can find a song or an artist, that's huge. So I didn't know if you tried to mix it up with, today's artist, little, Swiftie or anything just to, just because if they engage in the song, then they're like, oh yeah, he played my favorite song,
Yeah, I do. I have music that plays before the show, after the show, and then I have 3 kind of impromptu music moments where I'm singing song lyrics that attach back to the message. So I relate it to, like, you can find resilience in your earbuds. Here's a few songs to consider. And then I jump into Shake It Off by Taylor Swift as far as how to deal with haters. There's a couple others like that. And so, it does find its way into the presentation. And it's always fun to see the kids' reaction because they're not expecting that. And of course, neither are the teachers.
Yeah, so good. So, Jeff, making the switch from hanging out with students that, are in masses to you and your son, how has music not only changed in either your listening habits as a father, but using music to enhance your relationship with him?
Well, I never thought I would listen to the song Dino Dance on repeat and have to learn the moves. So that has now crept into my household, being the dad of a 3-year-old. Yes. That is now present. Didn't plan on that. It's fun. He has music that he really enjoys. I also have musical instruments throughout the house, throughout the studio. And so, in fact, just last night, he was like, Daddy, let's play with this drum and let's play with this rain stick. So we're making the rain stick go really slow. And then, he said, oh, it's a big storm. And so then I tip it and it goes fast. Mm-hmm. So I'm finding that he enjoys sitting at my drum set. He enjoys finding instruments in the closet, and he knows where all my hiding spaces are. And so I have a feeling that music is going to be a part of his future. It's something that we enjoy together already.
Well, Uncle Ace needs to make sure he knows the ways of the Beatles. So I don't want, don't skip out on that. If I have to make a road trip to Texas, I will do so.
We need Uncle Ace and his bass because that is not something I play.
I'm telling you, anything I can do to influence your child. I have not had enough time, but we will make that happen.
Sounds good.
Hanging out with Jeff this week, Jeff Veley with Records and Recovery. Jeff, what do you love about where you are with God right now?
Where I am right now feels like a very new adventure. So fatherhood is new. I'm 3 years in, and I've always worked with kids, but I've always worked with kids ages 6 and up. So I feel like walking into having an infant and now a toddler, I just don't know that, right? Like that's not what I'm good at. I'm very confident in working with teenagers and middle schoolers and stuff. And so this feels like really new territory. So it's constantly going to God and being like, how do I communicate this to him? What does this look like? Or I want to send this message across, but I need it to be simple. And so for me, it's this really leaning on the Lord and how to teach those things. And then also just seeing the little things that he picks up and how he makes me laugh so much every single day. Yeah. Just funny little things that he does. So I feel like the Lord is blessing me through my son. Also, right now, just working in mentoring some youth and seeing them navigate difficult situations as they go into adulthood, as they've had kind of rougher backgrounds. And again, really feel like I try to be a vessel for the Lord to speak through me, not knowing the words to say sometimes, of how do I really encourage them with where they're at and where they've come from.
Yeah. What's been the biggest surprise as a dad? Because I knew you pre-dad. I knew you
Yes.
pre. But all of that, I love hearing the hearts of men as they become fathers, and either how they see God or how they see the world, or even just things about themselves that they're like, wow, I really need to stop that behavior because it's going to influence my child.
I think the first thing that surprised me, because I wasn't familiar with infants, is they're not as fragile as you think.
Yes.
Like I remember holding my son and being like, "I'm gonna break him. Like his head's gonna roll off. He can't hold it up. Like they're not as fragile as you think." So that was kind of the first funny thing. I think other things that surprise you is you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? Like love often is spelled Time, regardless of what age a kid is. I think a lot of times we think about, oh, I've got to plan this fun activity, or I got to do this thing. And the reality is sometimes where you are in life, you may not be able to provide everything that you want for your kid.
Yeah.
Nor will that dream that you have in your mind of Disney World or whatever brand new this or that be good for them. But what you can always do is give them time. And I think, when we're just hanging out on the couch or we're reading a book together, I feel like he's his happiest. And so it doesn't have to be anything extravagant. And that's what I love when I speak to parents, say, well, what do I do? What do I do? Just keep investing time. Anybody can do that.
Yeah, and I know with, having adult daughters, but then still having teens at home, if, my wife and I are watching a movie or a TV show or something, and they want to just come in and plop down on the couch and have a conversation or hang out or whatever, we stop what we're doing. And as much as some would go, well, that's rude. No. Because with every summer, like there's fewer and fewer opportunities because we've got, working and theater and, all these moving parts with friends who, of course, they would much rather be with than their parents. So when it happens, it's huge. But I want to thank you, if I haven't before, but it also bears repeating for anyone who hasn't heard this nugget and you have teens at home. When you have that child that huffs and puffs every time you give them a chore, or they don't want to do something. You gave me a nugget years ago that served me well with my girls. It's serving me well with Ryan and me, and now is when they huff, when you tell them to empty the dishwasher or go clean out their car or do their laundry, they hear you. They don't like it, but they will do it in their timetable. And so that has served me so well in the teen years. So I feel like if anybody is best pre-teen ready is you. So you just got to get out of the toddler phase and you're ready. You got it from there.
I'm so comfortable with the toddler phase. I'm loving it. But yeah, that's teenager speak for affirmations, which means I heard you. Usually sounds like a grunt or a groan.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything wrong. They heard you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and my wife, I constantly have to remind her because she will tell you this. I'm not saying anything bad behind her back. She's the quickest to enable with our son, especially because he is the grunter. Like, and our daughter is the opposite, where she'll go, okay, Mom, but then she may not do it for 12 hours, but she will get to it. And so it's that, that wink, wink, nudge, nudge, like, hey, how's that bathroom coming along? And she'll go, well, yeah, stop. Like we hear that all the time. But it has served me well, and I hold on to it. Jeff Veley has been our guest on Records and Recovery. Jeff, before I let you go, I have to know, has your son embraced the love of the cape and cowl? Or is he a Batman fan, or is he chosen out of rebellion a different superhero?
Well, I feel like there's certain things that you decide when you become a parent that you need to pre-indoctrinate your kid with things. And so I feel like the Batman theme song was playing, during the pregnancy that was happening. So there's been different things, and his papa has been doing a very good job of that as well. We, of course, used the 1966 Batman series, which you and I are fans of.
Yep.
It's great because a toddler can watch that, and it's not scary. It's not violent. So much. It's campy. It's fun. And so he has a bunch of different Batmobiles. Some of them, the action figures do not fit in. Some of the Batmobiles have been purchased because of the frustration of the smaller ones that the action figures don't fit in. So yes, we have old school Batman on the DVD sets here, and we have some Caped Crusader cartoons we've watched, and there are Batman toys all throughout the house.
So great. Jeff Veley is
training them up right.
Yeah. And I love it because, again, train up a child in the way they should go. When they're older, they won't depart from it, right? Mm-hmm. It applies to all things. Jeff Veley's been our guest this week on Records and Recovery. Jeff, thanks for your time, man. Always great to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too, man. Thanks.
Records and Recovery is a Spacebird Media production and a part of the Thesis Radio Network. Find more episodes anywhere you listen to podcasts or at thesis.com.